G'day, welcome back. Today we're going to carry on with the Toyota project, and today we're going to be servicing the automatic transmission. This is the Toyota A240L transmission. It's a 3-speed automatic, high-tech stuff. So we're going to be changing the fluid, changing the filter, and using a special little product, see if we can make it change a bit better. So, fluid we're using today, Penrite DXIII, Australian made fluid, meets Dexron 2, 3, Mercon 4, BTR 91LE, 95LE, and a heap of other standards. It's used on a lot of older cars. Penrite, Australian made, decent quality stuff. That's what we're using. To go with that, we've got a Transgold filter kit. Never heard of Transgold. Australian supposedly. Comes with a new gasket, pan gasket, and a new filter. So we're going to show you how to swap that one out. Now our special trick, because if you remember on the test drive, a bit of a delay getting into third gear. So we also got this Nulon Auto Transmission treatment. And I've used this before to good effect. It's got a, supposedly does a lot of things. Extends your transmission life, reduces oil leaks, rejuvenates seals, improves valve operation, smoother gear changes, reduces noise and wear. I used it on my Nissan Maxima and it did most of those things. It wasn't leaking, but certainly it drove a lot smoother after I put some of this in. So we'll see what it does in this car and we'll give you my opinion at the end. So car's nice and warm, it's all up on jack stands, and let's get draining. Okay, so here's our transmission pan. You see over here we've got a drain bolt which is a 14mm. So we're going to crack that loose. It shouldn't be too tight, and it wasn't. We'll get it draining. See the fluid that's coming out? A little bit brown, still got a red tinge. The old sniff test, doesn't smell burnt. So I think our fluid is in need of a change, but not too terrible. Seen far worse. Right, and once that's drained, we're going to pop our drain plug back in and tighten it up. We don't need to loosen it again, so we'll get it in, get it tight so we know it's done. Right, and the pan bolt is 17 Newton meters or 13 foot-pounds. If you don't have a torque wrench, don't worry about it, just do it up hand tight. Doesn't need to be super tight, definitely don't over tighten, just tight enough so it doesn't fall out. Next up, I'm going to take the whole pan off. Do a series of bolts around the outside, they look like 10mm. We'll just take them all off and then we can clean out the pan, swap the filter. Right, so we've got 4 bolts holding the pan, 4 in the corners, and we'll start to take those out. So, even after draining, there's still some fluid left in the pan, so we'll get that all out. Alright, now our pan is loose, bucket's underneath. Get the last of the fluid out. Alright, there's our pan. Inside our pan we have 2 magnets, got a little bit of fuzz on them. A little bit, not a lot. For that normal wear and tear. So no big chunks, no anything else. Looks pretty normal. Alright, then we've got to clean out the magnets, clean up the pan, take off this gasket, get it ready to go back on. One clean pan. Spotless. Eat your dinner off that. Right, next we're going to prepare the gasket. You can see where it's been in the box, it's all a bit floppy and all over the show, so we're just going to use a little bit of gasket maker just to get it to stick to that pan, make it easier to put back on. Looks a lot better if you don't lose your little tube there, but just need a little bit just to hold the gasket. Pop them on. Right, and whilst we swap out the filter, I'm just going to pop a few of the bolts in place just to keep it all lined up. And I'll leave them just in there, just so all the holes are in the right place. Well, that can just sit there and set up for 10-15 minutes whilst we swap the filter out, and then we can pop it back on. Alright, here's our new filter. So you see it's got 1, 2, 3 bolts that hold it in. This is where it will kind of stick into the valve body, and that's where it does its best sucking. So take that one off, put the new one on. So here's our filter. Again, 310mm nuts. They're nice and relatively easy to undo. As soon as you start to undo them, it'll start leaking some fluid. It's the good thing, we want as much fluid out as we can get. Okay, there's our old filter. Alright, so you've got to be careful not to introduce any new dirt into your transmission. Always got to work clean with gearboxes. So it's got a clean paper towel, just going to wipe off the where the filter goes. Right, and you'll notice there's one long bolt, 2 shorter bolts. Alright, so offer your new filter up. Get all 3 bolts started. The 2 shorter ones go where the 2 bolts are, the longer one goes where the single bolt is. We'll just snug those up again, definitely don't do them too tight. Right, once you're down here, just make sure the surface where the pan's going to sit is nice and clean. This is pretty good. Then we can stick our pan back on. Just remember to put your magnets back in, nice and clean, pop them in there, go away. Right, here's the transmission pan. Get it up, get a few bolts started. keep putting all your bolts in until you've got none left. Right, so all the bolts are in and started. We're just going to nip them all up. Right, these are done up to 4.9 Newton meters, which is hardly anything, so don't over tighten them. I'm just using the torque wrench just to make sure I get an even torque, but you could just nip them up by hand, no problem. Just don't over tighten them. Here's our old fluid. Doing a wee dip test. See, it's still nice and red. Just dripping everywhere, still nice and red. Doesn't smell burnt. So yeah, just needs changing. No obvious faults, problems based on the condition of that fluid. So just going to pour it into this old oil jug just so we get an idea of exactly how much to put back in. There is a scale on these bowls, but I can never really see them. Right, so the total capacity of this transmission is 7.7 litres, which is 8.1 quarts. On a service like this, apparently it should only drain about 3.3 litres, so we'll see where we're at. I've only got 4 litres of fluid, so this could be a bit of an issue. Oh yeah, we're closer to 5 litres. That's awesome. Right, so that's about 4.5 litres. So we got 4 litres there. We've got 300 ml there, so that's almost half a litre. There, got half a litre of the other Penrite stuff, the multi-vehicle, which also meets Dextron free. So kind of a bit of a schmozzle, but we should have just about bang on the right amount of fluid until I spill it over the floor. So don't pay too much attention to your service info, make sure you've got plenty of fluid on hand and you won't get caught out. Right, so here's our transmission dipstick, which is also our fill point. So we'll take that dipstick out, put it somewhere where it's not going to get dirty. Grab a funnel. Not the best funnel, but that's what I've got to hand. That's clean. Again, make sure everything's sparkly clean. And we go for the long pour. Right, so that was about 2 litres of that. Now we'll put our transmission treatment in. Again, we'll see if this does any good. I've had good results in the past. We'll pour it in kind of this stage so it gets mixed in nicely. Make sure we don't spill any. Looks like transmission fluid with some extra gunk in. Probably a bit lighter in colour than the actual tranny fluid. Carry on with the rest of this one. Try not to make a big mess. Right, So we can take our funnel out, pop our dipstick in. Now just before we do that, you'll see the scales on the dipstick. So we've got a cool range and a hot range. Cool's when the engine's cold, hot's when you're kind of operating temperature for checking the level here. Right, so our fluid level's adequate to start the car up. We'll start it up, warm it up, then we'll check it on the dipstick, see where we are, see if we need to add any more fluid, and go from there. You'll see that, but on the cold range we're bang in the middle of the two marks, so we might actually be pretty much spot on. So get it warm, we'll go from there. Alright, so now I've eased off the throttle. You'd hope we'd change into top gear. But apparently not. So it's holding that second gear. Eventually it'll change up. Right, let's go for a cruise up the road. Still cold, so we'll see what happens when we get needing to change the third gear. Look at that, fixed. Alright, so that was a much smoother shift. We went straight into top gear. Right, so we've been for a test drive, everything's nice and warm. Just going to check the fluid level again. We should be in the hot range now. See on there we are a little bit low, so we'll pop in a little bit more fluid. I'll just run through the gears again and we'll check it again. Right, now we seem to be bang kind of 3/4 up the hot mark. I'd say that's perfect. There we go, that's how you change the fluid and filter on your 1990s Toyota Corolla, Levin, Sprinter, Trueno, whatever you want to call it. Anything with the A240L transmission, that's how I do it. As you saw, our shifting's improved, whether that's just down to the new fluid and filter or if it's down to the Nulon auto transmission treatment. Hard to say for sure, but certainly when I've used this on its own, it's had kind of similar results. We've had better shifting, and it's, yeah, in my experience this stuff makes a big difference. Your experience may vary, but yeah, I've had good success with this. Certainly as a problem fixer like that. You saw the condition of the fluid and the filter that came out of there. It was actually pretty clean, pretty good. Just needed changing. So we did that, and yeah, smooth shifting from here on in. So yeah, if you haven't done that job before, it's fairly straightforward. Just got to keep everything super clean, pay attention to what you're doing. And as I said before, the capacity of that transmission is 7.7 litres. When you do a service like this, you should only change about 3 to 4 litres, and that's because of one of these. This is a torque converter. The majority of the remainder of the fluid will end up staying in the torque converter. You probably can't hear it jiggle around in there. So that's why when you do a fluid and filter change like this, you don't get all the fluid out. What you can do in a week, a day, whenever, you can just do a drain and refill of the transmission. Then you get like 60% of the old fluid out. I don't tend to worry too much about it. Just put this down, it's heavy. If it was my car, that's probably what I'd do initially. So do the fluid and filter, wait a week or so, drain and refill the transmission, get most of the old fluid out. And in terms of maintenance, what I'd do from there on in, again, this is what I do, you do whatever you want. I'd do a fluid and filter every 2 years, and the year in between I'd just do a drain and refill. So you're kind of keeping on top of your maintenance there, keeping fresh fluid in there. Yeah, that's what I've always done on automatics. I hate automatics, but that's kept me without any too many expensive repair bills. But comment, like, subscribe. We've got a few more Toyota videos coming up. Once we've still got this Project Trueno car hanging around, and then it's going to go and we've got to find someone else to do. So see you in the next one.